What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today I want to talk about Daniel Jones and why he might take a massive leap forward in 2023. Now, we know that he took a pretty substantial step forward in 2022, obviously earned himself a big payday, 4 years, $160 million, $40 million per year. He went from Danny Dimes to Danny Dollars. We know that Daniel Jones really did earn that contract this past season, and now he's locked in as the New York Giants franchise quarterback for the next several years. But I want to talk about why he's just getting started. I think that Danny Dimes is at a place in his career where he's fought through a lot of adversity to get to this point. But right now, I think the Giants have done a very solid job putting the pieces around him and giving him the support that he needs to hopefully take another big step forward and really establish himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, again, that's been a long, wide debate all offseason long. How good of a quarterback is Daniel Jones? Is he top 10? Is he top 20? Is he top 30? I know there's always some outlandish takes that have him all the way up at the top and all the way up at the bottom, but realistically, he falls somewhere in the middle. Now, to be a middle of the road quarterback isn't necessarily a bad thing in the NFL. That's pretty hard to come by. So to achieve that, you definitely do get paid like a solid quarterback, and Daniel Jones is getting paid like one. But I do think that Daniel Jones and that contract that he just signed, while I love the flexibility of it because it gives the Giants to get out of it rather soon if they need to, I don't think they're going to need to. And I think that Daniel Jones has a lot more left in the tank, a lot more room for growth. And I do believe that 2023 will be a big year for his development and for his growth. And I'm going to go ahead and dive into the reasons why I believe that. And also want to dive into this quote from an anonymous AFC executive talking about Daniel Jones, talking about the Giants, and referring to them as contenders. True contenders is what this anonymous AFC executive had to say. So I'm going to dive into that as well. But before we dive into all of this, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Comment your thoughts on everything that I discussed down below. Love to interact with you all. So make sure to leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Now, Daniel Jones, let's take a look at his stats from this past season. We know he set a career high in passing yards with 3,205 passing yards, 15 touchdowns. That's been a big talking point. I'll get to that in a second. But main selling point for how great he was this past season, 5 interceptions, led the league with the lowest interception percentage rate at 1.1%. Very impressive stuff, but also not that far off from his 1.9% that he had in 2021. It's been a couple years in the making. If you look at it, 2019, his rookie season, 2.6%. Then it went to 2.2% in 2020. 1.9% 2021, then 1.1% under Brian Dable and Mike Kafka in 2022. And we're going to talk about them quite extensively in just a second here. But just to round out these stats, he also did set a lot of career highs in the rushing department, career highs in rushing yards, 708, touchdowns, 7, and career low in fumbles with only 6. That's a very big difference from the 19 that he fumbled in 2019. We went from 19 in 2019, 10 to 2020, 7 in 2021, 6 in 2022. So again, this is not, when you're looking at it from that perspective of a 4-year career, Jones has been getting better year by year. He's been getting better keeping the football clean at the very least, year by year by year by year. 4 years in, now he's got a really good grasp as to how to take care of the football, keep it out of harm's way, and he's doing that with a poor offensive line, with a bad group of playmakers around him. So let's kind of think about it from a new perspective. He's gotten really good at keeping the ball clean. He's gotten really good with his legs. Yeah, he didn't throw a bunch of passing touchdowns, but you combine the rushing touchdowns. He scored over 20 touchdowns last year, so we can work with that. And he also put up a solid amount of passing yards, career high in completion percentage, was overall more accurate, had a career high 4 fourth quarter comebacks, 5-game winning drives. It's a very good year for Daniel Jones when you look at it from all of that perspective, with all of those different factors involved. But let's take a look at it from a new perspective. He did all of that last year with a really bad supporting cast. Let's go into 2023 and see how he does with a new and improved supporting cast. And this is why one of the main reasons why I think he's bound to take a big step forward in 2023, because Last year, that Giants offense, it was Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley versus the world. Midway through the season, they found Isaiah Hodgins, a very solid, capable wide receiver. But again, no dominant force in that offense other than Saquon Barkley and at times Daniel Jones. But this offseason, they did a great job adding to that supporting cast. They got him Darren Waller, who can be a truly elite offensive playmaker. We've seen him be that before with the Raiders. The Giants traded for him, third round pick for Waller. Seems like a steal, but we'll see how it pans out. Of course, no trade is ever won until several years later. But with Waller having the potential to be kind of a wide receiver one in a tight end's body, that's a big deal for Daniel Jones because he's never had a playmaker in the receiving department quite like that. Yes, he's had an elite playmaker alongside him all throughout his career, Saquon Barkley in the backfield, but a running back is a little bit limited in what it can do compared to what a wide receiver can do. And Darren Waller, considering the fact that, yes, he's a tight end, but he does play a lot of wide receiver, he has pretty unlimited potential to make an impact on this offense and help Daniel Jones propel his game further. So you talk about not having a bunch of touchdowns, right? 10 touchdowns in 2021, not a good number. 15 in 2022, by most accounts, not the best number possible, right? Considering he made 16 starts, that's less than one touchdown per game. You want your franchise quarterback ideally throw in one touchdown per game in most scenarios. But when you're Daniel Jones and when you have the offensive supporting cast that you have, it's kind of tough to throw those touchdown passes. But now with Darren Waller, a guy who could realistically catch you at least 8 touchdown passes, get you in the red zone more often than not, I think that Daniel Jones's touchdown number will be going up quite a good bit. But let's talk about some of these other supporting cast members that are going to be with Daniel Jones this year. Jalen Hyatt in the third round. What a draft pick. Some people had him 25 overall in mock drafts to the Giants. They get him in the third round. Brings all the speed that was missing. And not only does he bring the speed that was missing, Waller brings that speed from the tight end spot. And of course, now we also know that Paris Campbell brings a bunch of speed to the receiving corps. So the Giants got a lot faster. And you're also including Saquon Barkley in the backfield and a little depth behind him with Eric Gray. Saquon Barkley was on the field for 80% of the Giants' offensive snaps in the NFL last season. That led all running backs. So when you think about it from that perspective, they were overworking Barkley. Thank God he didn't get injured, but let's go into 2023, give him less of a reason to be on the field so much and have a quality backup who could maybe eventually be a starter one day behind him. I like that a lot. So now the Giants not only have the speed from the running back spot, the explosive playmaking ability out of Saquon Barkley, they also have it from the tight end spot, they have it from the receiver spot, and they have depth behind all of these guys. So overall, this is a much, much better offense. But there could be one kryptonite to the offense, and that could be the offensive line. Now, I do think that the Giants did make some big strides here this offseason to improve the offensive line. Let's talk about it. Evan Neal should take a big step forward. He's been practicing and training with Willie Anderson, a former All-Pro offensive lineman, all offseason long. He's fixed his stance. He's fixed his footwork. Hopefully that does result in a better second season. We know Andrew Thomas is back, All-Pro tackle. But those guard positions, definitely suspect. However, massive upgrade at the center spot. John Michael Schmitz, as a rookie, should be better than what we had last year with John Feliciano. Now, Feliciano gone to free agency. Nick Gates gone to free agency. All we had was J.C. Hassenauer and a battle between Shane Lemieux and Ben Bredesen for the left guard / center spot. Now we have John Michael Schmitz there, who should be your day one starter and probably should start there for the next 4, maybe 5, or maybe longer years down the road, which I'm really excited about. That's a big improvement to have a quarterback at center, right? John Michael Schmitz was a smart guy. He made a lot of calls for Minnesota's offense during his collegiate career. He was great in pass pro. He's a dominant run defender. I mean, Daniel Jones is going to be a better player for that. So again, topic of today's episode, how Daniel Jones can take that step forward, why he will. John Michael Schmitz is going to play a big part in that. Again, there are some causes for concern. I don't know who's playing left guard yet this year. I'm going to assume it ends up being Ben Bredesen, though Joshua Zito is a possibility. And then at right guard, Mark Lewinsky was pretty poor last year. Hopefully he could turn things around and be better. But now I want to move on to the main reason why I think Daniel Jones is taking a big step forward this year. Okay, and that is the coaching staff. I can't even stress enough how big of a deal this is because let's quickly go through Daniel Jones's career history with his coaching staffs, right? Rookie 2019 season, he takes over for Eli Manning, head coach Pat Shurmur. Well, Pat Shurmur's offense was super mundane. The Giants barely scored any points, and the team really just fell apart, and Shurmur lost the locker room. Fired after 1 year, after 2 years with the team, but after 1 year with Daniel Jones, right? So year 2, Joe Judge takes over. We're all really excited. I was really excited. I really like Joe Judge. I was wrong. So were most of us, right? Joe Judge takes over. Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator. Now, Jason Garrett goes out there. Terrible offense. Just a real incompetent offense for 2 years. Midway through the second year, Freddie Kitchens takes over as the play caller as Jason Garrett is fired midseason. But at the end of the day, both of them were not able to produce anything with the offense. So there you go. You have two head coaches, two offensive coordinators gone in 3 years. Now you go into year four. Brian Dable, AP 2022 NFL Coach of the Year. Mike Kafka interviewed for head coaching positions after 1 year as the Giants offensive coordinator. It is not just the Giants who think that these coaches are doing a good job. It is everybody who thinks that these coaches did a great job. They are very highly regarded. Brian Dable regarded by everybody as being one of the best young head coaches, one of the best lesser experienced head coaches, that is, in the NFL. I mean, again, Coach of the Year after his rookie season. Incredible thing to do. And then you have a bunch of teams clamoring to get their hands on Mike Kafka as their potential head coach. So a real young and up and coming star from the coaching spot, from the OC spot. So again, looking at Daniel Jones's career history here, he's never had a stable environment to play in, not with his playmakers and especially not with his coaching staff. He hasn't had a Dable yet. He hasn't had a Kafka yet. He hasn't found anyone that can maximize his skill set to push him to the next level, propel him, put him in the positions to succeed until now. And he had that for 1 year, success. New York Giants go to the postseason. They go 9-7-1, win a playoff game. Yes, they lose in the divisional round in pretty poor fashion, but that is the most successful season that the Giants have had in over a decade. Haven't won a postseason game since Super Bowl 46 in 2012. Believe that, guys? It's been over a decade. Where does the time go? But I digress. New York Giants won a postseason game with Daniel Jones as their quarterback and Brian Dable as their head coach. And a lot of that had to do with the great play calling of Mike Kafka. Now, you're talking about Daniel Jones. There were times last season where there were hiccups, and we were like, ooh, maybe he's not getting the offense. Ooh, maybe Mike Kafka's not calling the right plays. By the end of the year, it all looked pretty good. And now, going into year two, it's only going to look better. Daniel Jones is going to have time to grow. He has another full offseason to practice in this offense with new playmakers, get more familiar with Mike Kafka, more familiar with Brian Dable, a whole extra year under his belt. That continuity, that familiarity, that's going to pay massive dividends to Daniel Jones in 2023. That is the number one reason that I believe he's going to have a huge 2023 season, a big step forward from last year. Again, he took a big step forward last year, but I think that the continuity that he has on his coaching staff is going to take him even further here. So I'm really excited for Brian Dable year two, Mike Kafka year two, and Daniel Jones' second season with both of those guys. I think that they are doing wonders with him. Now, I would also be remiss if I didn't mention Shea Tierney, quarterback's coach, did a great job with Daniel Jones last year, will continue to do a great job, was actually looked at as an OC somewhere around the league during the coach hiring cycle. I do remember Shea Tierney getting some interest from some teams for a potential promotion. So again, all these offensive minds on the Giants coaching staff getting looks for promotions and bigger jobs and awards, all that stuff. That just means good things are in store for Daniel Jones as this offense continues to build around him. Now, I do want to dive into these quotes here from this anonymous AFC executive. This is from Jordan Schultz reporting this. He spoke to some AFC exec who, of course, remained anonymous, but he did have a lot to say about the New York Giants. So I want to dive into that real quick before we wrap up. He said, quote, I think they could be a true contender. I think the quarterback, Daniel Jones, is really good. He's so smart and tough. He's gotten much better off schedule. End quote. And now I also want to point out that's a good point right there, the off schedule stuff, because if you remember his rookie season, second season, everyone called Daniel Jones a one read quarterback, said he can't do anything off script. Once the play breaks down, he can't do much. He's not able to find the proper passing lanes, not able to make plays off schedule. I think Daniel Jones has gotten a lot better at that. I think a couple of those plays in the red zone that he made last year are real evidence of that, particularly touchdown pass to Isaiah Hodgins versus Philadelphia in the regular season, right? He scrambled, looked, finally found the guy, scored the touchdown. He had one of those, I believe, against Minnesota in the regular season as well. He had a few of those plays down the stretch towards that postseason run where he was scrambling and he still found the guy, and not always for touchdowns, but also how about the play to Hodgins on the left sideline, right, where he rolled to his left and threw across his body, connected with Hodgins down the sideline on third down. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that Daniel Jones, he wasn't really capable of making on a consistent basis for the first couple of years of his career, but now he makes those plays pretty consistently, and that's a big deal. To have him make that kind of development in that regard, that's what really good quarterbacks do, and Daniel Jones starting to take his big steps forward in that department means he really is blossoming into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL from that perspective. So again, I think that's really exciting. The executive points that out. He also goes on to say Darren Waller is a difference maker. He changes everything. Paris Campbell was a good ad. We had Jalen high on our board, but didn't need a receiver. Tons of speed. End quote. Now that quote makes me think like, who is this AFC executive? It's got to be with maybe the Dolphins. They don't need a receiver. Bengals don't need a receiver. The Chiefs could use a receiver, I think. I don't know. Very interesting, but that's not really the point of this episode. What I will point out here, though, is that he's pointing out all of the different playmakers that I just pointed out and all of the speed that the Giants added. Tons of speed. That is really a key here because the Giants were slow last year. They had the slowest wide receiver core in the NFL based on average 40-yard dash time. That's not the case anymore, I assume. Haven't seen the numbers exactly, but I mean, they added Jalen Hyatt, they added Paris Campbell, some of these guys who are true burners. And the Giants' offense is faster now, and it's got separators. It's going to be a whole lot better. It's going to help Daniel Jones be a lot better. And then he continued with his quote saying, obviously, I'm assuming Saquon Barkley plays, but as good as he was last year, he will be much better with this team. And I agree with that as well because you have more vertical threats on the outside. You have more receiving options over the middle. It's going to make the Giants a whole lot less predictable. Those tight ends that just stand there and wait for Saquon Barkley in the hole, well, now they have to go worry about Darren Waller. And that makes a big, big difference. And some of those safeties who are able to get down closer to the box and stop Saquon Barkley, they have to take a couple steps back now because Jalen Hyatt is there. So there's an extra couple yards that Saquon Barkley has to work with once he gets to the second level. Again, all important stuff there. The way that the Giants have built this offense is really going to open things up for Saquon Barkley, for Daniel Jones. The better the running game is, the better the passing game will be. So all of this in totality is adding up to hopefully a very solid 2023 season from Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. But again, those are just my thoughts on why I think Daniel Jones is taking a big step forward. Let me know if I missed any major points that you can think of for why DJ is going to take a big step forward. Maybe you want to bring up the Arizona little practice that he had with the teammates, already getting involved, already being a leader, already practicing with his new incoming playmakers, right? A lot of good stuff here from Daniel Jones. He's been putting in the work for several years, and I think this is the year where he really takes off in 2023, and I'm really hoping so. Maybe I'm optimistic, maybe I'm biased. I know I am. I'm a New York Giants fan. I bleed blue, baby, like all of you. But I don't care. I'm excited about the Giants this year. I know a lot of you are, and I'm really excited about Daniel Jones and what he could potentially do in his second season with Brian Daboll as his head coach. But again, let me know your thoughts on Daniel Jones, why you think he's taking a big step forward, and how hyped you are to see him take that step forward down below in the comment section. Leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.